In a landscape marred by conflict, imagine the sprawling city of Constantinople trembling under the weight of advancing Russian troops. The once vibrant streets are now entangled in chaos, as the front line shifts like a tide, swallowing the city of Grad whole. A question looms: how will the Ukrainian defenders withstand this relentless assault? The situation in the Pokrovsky area has grown increasingly dire. Both combatants are locked in a tense struggle, fortified positions crumbling under the stunning impact of artillery shells and drone strikes. Reports circulate that Ukrainian forces, hemmed in by the encroachments, face immense pressure while trying to protect their territory. The landscape lacks strategic roads, leaving it gripped in uncertainty. Observers note that the hold of the Ukrainian defensive line is crucial, yet the chaos threatens to engulf them. From high above, satellite footage illustrates a somber scenario. The front line stretches and warps, with the city at its heart enduring a barrage of explosions and tactical maneuvers from both sides. The recent military reports indicate that the balance of power is precarious. As Russian troops invade Konstantinivka, the stakes escalate, revealing a city under siege, its future teetering on the brink. The intensity of the struggle has transformed familiar streets into a battleground, specifically around Sancharanovka, where control fluctuates rapidly. Each day witnesses dramatic shifts in territory, leaving the area marred and uncertain. Both sides count their losses, while the Russian military continues its strategic expansion. How does one comprehend the harrowing sounds of battle that echo through the city, gunfire crackling, the smell of smoke thickening the air, and the vibrations of explosions rattling the ground beneath their feet? Amidst the turmoil, Ukrainian forces valiantly fortify their positions, building barricades against a relentless enemy. Yet, urban warfare complicates their defenses. The enemy's artillery is unyielding, and as drone operations increase, the specter of further loss looms heavy on the horizon. The tension mounts as analysts from various intelligence agencies warn of a critical situation that could spill over into broader conflict. Desperation fuels the fight as both troops seek to control pivotal supply lines. Reports suggest that logistical routes are crumbling, threatening humanitarian efforts and the very fabric of civilian life in occupied regions. The reality on the ground is stark: each skirmish could tilt the balance, leading to devastating consequences. In the midst of this chaos, Ukrainian forces cling to their hard-won territories. The war drags on, its toll felt in the shattered remnants of communities once filled with life. Trapped in a protracted conflict, how long can they endure? As the fate of the front line hangs in the balance, the story continues to unfold, cloaked in uncertainty and the vivid horrors of war. At the crossroads of resistance and oppression, what will become of these brave defenders? The tension crackles in the air, a reminder that the struggle for freedom is seldom straightforward, with every moment pregnant with potential for both tragedy and triumph. The previous section revealed the escalating tensions in the urban battlefronts, marked by relentless artillery strikes, drone assaults, and the strategic maneuvers of both Russian and Ukrainian forces. As the situation unfolds, the enemy aims to push westward, attempting to sever crucial supply lines in a desperate bid for dominance, while Ukrainian defenders prepare for potential evacuations of civilians trapped in the chaos. News has emerged that Russian forces have seized territory in Konstantinivka. The Ukrainian military, known by the call sign Muchnoy, has released maps detailing these developments and indicating a critical shift in the battlefield. Armed clashes have now moved into urban areas, particularly around Sancharanovka, where the lines blur between friend and foe. The enemy's advance has led to the partial capture of infrastructure, like the tram depot, as they strive to secure vital positions for continued offensive operations. Confusion reigns, control over Sancharanovka and its neighboring streets oscillates throughout the day, as both sides grapple for supremacy. Surprisingly, casualties stand at a relatively low point, yet the Russian forces are not breaking ranks. They push forward, restructuring their reserves to cement their grip on the city. Ukrainian units focus their efforts on stabilizing defenses, but the densely packed urban landscape curtails their ability to launch counterattacks effectively. Here, in Konstantinivka, the stakes grow higher. Although military reports still classify parts of the city under Ukrainian control, sections have already faded into a gray zone, where the lines of engagement grow murkier. Observers compare the frantic shifts in control to past battles in Bakhmut, where the ebb and flow of territory transformed hourly. The fate of Konstantinivka teeters dangerously. Its loss could pose a serious risk to the defense lines holding against the advancing enemy. Meanwhile, reports indicate that Russian troops are encroaching upon the industrial zone near Pokrovska, consolidating their forces to ensure critical supply routes remain operational. This area serves as a lifeline for humanitarian aid traveling to Ukrainian forces, creating an urgent need for a steadfast defense. Should the Russians successfully obstruct these routes, the implications could hinder Ukrainian operations significantly, making an already dire situation even more precarious. The conflict enters its 1,343rd day. Tensions simmer as troop movements intensify with each dawn, drawing both forces into desperate struggles for ground that could mean life or death for thousands. The stakes are clear: failure to hold these territories could lead to disastrous consequences. Faced with shifting alliances and a relentless enemy, what will be the outcome in this ongoing saga of survival? The Ukrainian command prepares, knowing that each decision could tip the scales in this brutal fight for control. Summary of the previous part: the front in eastern Ukraine remains tense, marked by ongoing combat operations. Despite the most daunting circumstances, Ukrainian forces are working tirelessly to maintain their positions, attempting to halt any further advancements by enemy troops. The incessant roar of artillery can be heard as it mingles with the acrid scent of smoke, a grim reminder of the struggle unfolding in the heart of eastern Ukraine. Over the past few days, more than 40 fierce confrontations have taken place, highlighting the relentless pressure on Ukrainian defenses. Experts note that the situation remains precarious, as combat operations steadily intensify. The weather offers no respite: blue skies turn gray under the weight of rain, impacting aerial maneuvers. Yet, amid the turmoil, drones hover diligently, scouring the night skies for any signs of movement. These unmanned eyes are invaluable, providing critical intelligence to ground troops, who are steadfastly holding their positions. The front lines are frayed but resolute. Ukrainian forces brace against the encroaching gray zones that threaten to swallow critical territories. In the south, fierce skirmishes unfold in Gulyapolia, where the enemy pushes aggressively to reclaim strategic routes. Meanwhile, the Russian forces have been spotted coordinating small units, guided by artillery fire, to make slight advancements, particularly in Ukrainian cities. This persistent encroachment raises concerns but does not break the morale of the defenders. As you observe the shifts on the battlefield, one must ponder: what is at stake if control over Konstantinov is lost? Reports indicate that the situation around this key city remains dire, with analysts predicting imminent pushes from enemy troops. Each moment is a delicate game of strategy, timing, and resolve. With the Ukrainian armed forces readying themselves for whatever comes next, the air is thick with tension and anticipation. Will they be able to deny the enemy critical supply routes and hold steadfast? As the struggle continues, one question looms large: how much longer can the line hold before circumstances force a change in the tide of battle? As whispers of strategy and movement fill the air, the urgency of the moment is palpable. The stakes are rising, and so too is the resolve of those dedicated to defending their homeland. Stay tuned, only time will unveil the next chapter in this ongoing saga of courage and sacrifice, where every decision carries immense consequences. In the unfolding saga of warfare, the bitter conflict in the Donetsk region escalates as the Russian forces make significant strides towards the city of Konstantinivka. This area now stands as a critical battleground, with the front lines shifting constantly. The dynamics are grim, losses are mounting, and the situation is becoming increasingly precarious. Amidst the chaos, Ukrainian defenders struggle to maintain their positions, even as the intensity of conflict transforms the urban landscape into a battleground filled with tension and anxiety. Will they withstand the onslaught, or will the city succumb? As Russian troops encroach upon Konstantinivka, every street echoes with the sounds of gunfire and the whir of drones overhead. The air is thick with the acrid smell of smoke and a palpable dread of civilians navigating their daily lives in peril. Analysts observe a pattern of expansion in the zone surrounding Pokrovska, with the enemy closing in on key supply routes. The battlefield becomes a complex web where control shifts rapidly. Within hours, one quarter can change hands repeatedly, heightening the stakes for both sides. What drives a soldier into the fray, knowing the grim realities of war? The pulse of fear and urgency beats resonantly along the eastern front. Despite artillery shelling and the chaos of skirmishes, there lies a resolute fortitude among defenders. Engaged in a fierce struggle, Ukrainian troops are now waging a fight not just for ground, but for their very survival. The maps reveal an agonizing truth: the gray zones are expanding, leaving uncertainty in their wake. As we've seen, the ongoing battles at Konstantinivka act as a microcosm for the larger conflict. Each skirmish serves as a reminder of the fragile balance of power. With every passing day, the pressure mounts. Will the Ukrainian defenders dig deep enough to hold what little they have left? Or will the relentless advances of the opposing forces carve a path to victory in this crucial corridor? In the smog of uncertainty, there looms a shocking twist: every frontline victory or defeat shapes the future of the war itself. The air crackles with tension as each side attempts to outmaneuver the other, but with the stakes so high, what sacrifices will they endure? The fight for Konstantinivka is not merely about territory, it represents the very essence of resilience against the backdrop of despair, echoing the deeper narrative of a struggle that continues to unfold. In the midst of a critical conflict lasting 1,343 days, the situation at the front in Ukraine remains dire. Reports indicate that Russian troops have intensified their presence in vital areas, particularly focusing on the industrial zone of Pokrovska. As the lines blur between combatants and civilians, the threat of evacuating the population looms large. What if this seemingly routine military operation becomes a crucial turning point in the entire war? The strategic importance of Pokrovska cannot be overstated. It acts as a lifeline, guiding supply routes crucial for sustaining Ukrainian forces in their defensive efforts to safeguard the cities of Konstantinivka and beyond. Any disruption here could spell disaster. Recent updates from the frontline highlight a marked increase in clashes, particularly around the borders of the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhzhia regions. Intense battles rage on as Russian troops push towards their objectives, aiming to secure vital roads necessary for their advance. The intensity of fire is palpable, the thunder of artillery, the high-pitched roar of drones overhead. Both sides are locked in a brutal struggle, with neither willing to concede ground. As forces on both sides gear up for what appears to be an elongated standoff, analysts are already recognizing Pokrovska as a focal point of military activity. They underline that while the situation is stabilizing, the relentless pressure from the enemy continues to expand the gray zones, territories neither side controls, creating chaos for civilians caught in the middle. In the days following October 28, 2025, the front witnessed heavy bombardments and skirmishes, with the chaos echoing through the devastated streets. An emerging pattern suggests that Russian forces are employing swift assault strategies, using small, rapid units to probe weaknesses in Ukrainian defenses. But the Ukrainian military's resilience cannot be underestimated. They are fortified and prepared, ready to stabilize the front despite facing fatigue and dwindling ammunition. The atmosphere is thick with tension, a swirling mix of anticipation and dread. As the enemy relentlessly pressures the defensive lines, each passing day brings new challenges. Will the Ukrainian forces uphold their positions, or will the relentless advance force them to retreat? The looming question weighs heavy, bringing the reality of war starkly into focus. As conflicts rage on, the fate of cities like Pokrovska and Konstantinivka hang in the balance. How will this battle for survival unfold as both sides prepare for what lies ahead? In a critical moment during this prolonged conflict that has now stretched across 1,343 days, Ukrainian sources indicate increased Russian troop movements targeting the industrial region of Pokrovska. The stakes are high, with this area serving as a pivotal supply route and a potential humanitarian crisis point. Should these pathways be compromised, the defensive capabilities of the Ukrainian forces could be overwhelmed. The tension thickens as the situation grows ever more dire. Recent reports reveal a troubling escalation in activity in the Eastern Front as of October 28, 2025. Strategically, the map indicates that Russian forces are advancing, tightening their grip on key transportation routes connecting Pokrovska and Mirnograd. Just to the south in the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporozhye regions, battles rage, with Russian troops seeking to break through defenses. Analysts observe that the enemy employs rapid advance tactics, utilizing small specialized units and drones to effectively coordinate artillery strikes. With the situation continuously evolving, the concept of stability in the front lines feels increasingly like a mirage. The support of artillery positions, once bountiful, are dwindling, and the fatigue of armies becomes palpable. How long before exhaustion claims its victims? Military experts argue that the Pokrovska area may now become the epicenter of the war, an arena where the fate of entire battalions may unfold in a decisive clash. As the front lines hold, reports indicate that pressure is mounting around crucial cities, transforming previously secure zones into gray areas, where control shifts rapidly. Over the past days alone, more than 40 combat operations have unfolded, each one echoing with the cacophony of artillery fire and explosive impacts, the air thick with smoke and uncertainty. In this chaotic theater, how many more lives will be caught in this relentless storm? As the battles rage on, tension escalates both among troops and within civilian lives hanging in the balance. The question remains, will any side achieve the breakthrough needed to turn the tide in this harrowing struggle?